If you want to try to fit in, most of the time, you're trying to be someone that you're not. And when you're trying to be someone you're not, it's not going to be sustainable because you're not who you are. You don't build your reputation with just words. You build it through results. Here are 12 golden rules for living. Rule number 1, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle. Ian McLaren wrote that quote. It's as simple as it gets because you don't know what someone else is going through in their day because everyone is going through a lot. Respect that everyone has that feeling. I know that you may have a problem as well, but so does the person that you are conversing also right now that you may be treating badly today. Everyone that you meet every day is going through something and you couldn't see that in their eyes, but inside, a lot of people are going through so much that you don't understand what's going on with them. Always be kind to them. Rule number 2, always be yourself. You know, it's so hard that everyone is trying to fit in. But in reality, you want to be yourself because if you want to try to fit in, most of the time, you're trying to be someone that you're not. And when you're trying to be someone you're not, it's not going to be sustainable because you're not who you are. That's why, you know, when you're at home, you're comfortable, right? Wearing anything that you want to wear. It's because it is who you are. Like when you go out in the real world, you're going to put on your best shoes. You're going to put on different shoes. But when you go home, you're going to go home to the same set of clothes that you have and probably just one flip-flop that you have at home. That's who you are. And when you're with people that you're comfortable being yourself, you don't have to be fake. You are who you are. There's no effort for you to be somebody else. Always be yourself because eventually that person who appreciates who you are will be there for you no matter what you look like. Rule number 3, the only thing you can control is you, no one else. There are so many things that are not in our control, like what people think of us, what people may say about us, or the reactions of people towards us and whatever happens to us in the real world. But the only thing you can control is you, like your thoughts, your actions, your efforts, the way you treat other people, and so many things. Let me know in the comment section what is in your control because there's so many things that we think about that is not in our control and people worry about those things. The effort of other people towards you. You can't control their efforts, but you can always control yourself and how you treat other people and your loved ones. Always focus on the things that you can control. And there's a lot. Rule number 4, always say less than necessary. There's so many things that's going on in our minds. Normal people have 1,000 thoughts running through their heads every day. Not just every day. This is at every minute. There are 1,000 things running through our heads every day that we want to say, but we just don't have the time to say it out loud. Always say things that are necessary for the benefit of you. If it's not going to be something of benefit to you, then why say it? Most of the time, we say a lot of things that are not necessarily needed, but then we always end up saying it and we end up, having more problems instead. Always say less than what is necessary of you. Rule number 5, don't let bad habits get a foot in the door. I always say this in most of my videos is that you don't need motivation, you don't need inspiration. What you need are better sets of habits. Try to notice first all the bad habits that you have and try to slowly replace them with better habits. For example, if you're eating bad food, slowly exchange them to eating healthier food. If you're not exercising, slowly incorporate, doing a few exercises here and then. If you're not learning to read one book a month at a time, exchange those bad habits that you have in exchange for better habits. And that way, you're improving not just your way of life, but your mindset as well. Rule number 6, do not do what you hate. Here's what I noticed before when I was commuting to work. I always see this. When I'm in public transportation, I look around people, and most of the people I look at are going headed towards their work or their jobs. And it's rare that I see someone smiling because most of the time people wake up and go to work. They're going to do the same thing over and over again, and it's something that they hate, to pay for something that they love, which when I realize, it doesn't make sense. Like, why should I go to something that pays me a lot to do something that I hate? It just doesn't make sense. Why not find a way to do something that you love so that you wake up every day with purpose instead? I mean, life's too short for us to do something that we hate to do. So find something that you love doing, and the bills itself will figure out a way for you to work it out. Rule number 7, if you don't learn, you can't change. And if you aren't changing changing, what's the point of being here? There's only two ways. You learn or you move on. You can't change yourself or your ways if you're not learning from your mistakes. And if you aren't changing from your mistakes, then why are you even here? Like, what's the purpose? Life is a constant growth every day. It's not just growing in height. Like when you're a baby, you grow inches in height, your face changes and all, but that's not growing. That's just growing physically. But inside here, in your head and in here, emotionally and in spirit, are you actually learning from your mistakes? Because as we learn, the best teachers that we always have are the lessons, that the mistakes that we have in our life. You learn from those. Even if you learn from the mistakes of others, there's no other great way to learn but from your own faults and mistakes. Rule number 8, trust is like a vase. Once it's broken, though you can fix it, the vase will never be the same again. That was said by Walter Anderson. And it's true. You look at the plate. If you break the plate, you can still put it back together. And the thing is, if you break it again, there's just no way you can put them back together. It's a glass. It's the same thing with relationships. You break it once, yeah, you can put it back. There's a glue, so you can put it all together. But then you break it again, it's going to be smaller pieces. It's done. So it's hard to trust someone twice that made the same mistake over and over again. I don't know. What do you guys think? Golden rule number 9. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. The only time that you really want to compare yourself to someone else is to your past version. You don't compare yourself to someone else that is doing so much better than you. I always have said this a lot of times, I think numerous times already, is that do not compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 9. You only compare your chapter 3 with your chapter 2 and your chapter 1 as your story grows. There's no sense because your book is always going to be different from someone else's book. My chapters 1 to 16 is going to be a lot different than your chapter 1 to 16. Absolutely. Because we all have different lives that we grow and we learn at different phases in our lives. Compare yourself only to your past version. Are you growing or are you regressing? That's it. Nothing else. Golden rule number 10. You can't change habits unless you want to. I have a lot of students and most of them, they pay well and such. But the thing is, even if you pay well, if you're not really willing to accept change in yourself, then there's no point. No one can help you but yourself. You have to have the willingness to change. And the way you change that is the habits that you have, like seeing that daily habits that you have. I can really see someone that can be successful in the future just by their morning ritual, their morning habits. I want to see right away what they do in the morning and what they do at night before going to bed. It's a clear sign that they are going towards improvement and being successful. I already see someone with bad habits. I'm already shaking my head thinking that, okay, this guy, he's not going anywhere. But if that person is really willing to change their habits, they really can. They just have to be willing to put in the work to do it gradually, small steps at a time. Golden rule number 11. You can't build a reputation on what you intend to do. That was said by Liz Smith. A lot of people say that they're going to do this and they're going to do that. They're going to achieve so many things. They're going to climb the top of the world in their industry. You don't build your reputation with just words. You build it through results. You can always talk a big game of what you're going to do, that you're going to conquer the world and such. But at the end of the day, no one remembers your words. People always remember, the actions that you've done, the statues that were built for you in remembering you. Those are things people will never forget. Do you remember, the 12th best player on the championship team with any team? No. But you always remember the top maybe 1 or 1 to 3 at most. But it's rare that you even remember the 3rd best player on the championship. You always remember the best player or the second one. It's the same way with reputation. You can't build a solid rep on yourself if you're just talking about it. People always talk about your reputation with your actions, not with the things that you tell them. You can tell someone who they are by the actions that they've done, not by the words that they've said. Just look at history. You'll never see someone successful based out of the words that they've said, even as a philosopher. And yeah, people will always remember the bad rep that you've put. But you don't always fix that. Bad reps, they can be fixed. You could have done bad things in the past and changed that in the future. People can change. I really do believe in that. So you can change your reputation. But some people are who they are because they refuse to change. That's reputation. And lastly, this last golden rule for life is this. If you cannot decide, the answer is no. There is no maybe. Should I marry this person? There's no maybe. It's either yes or no. Should I take this job? There's no maybe. It's either a yes or no. Should I buy this house? Yes or no. Should I move to a new place or a new workplace? It's either yes or no. There's no maybe. And And should I go into a business with this person? There's no maybe. It's just a yes or a no. If you are not decided on one thing, the answer is a no, not a yes. Don't confuse a maybe with a yes. A maybe is a no. I remember this. Just recently, someone invited me to play basketball on a Saturday morning at 6 in the morning. And I said, I'll try my best. So that's a maybe. And he said, there is no maybe. It's just a yes or a no. And that reminded me. It's a great reminder for me that it's either you go at it or you don't. And I ended up waking at 5 a.m. to make it at 6 in the morning to play basketball. And I've never played basketball that early in my life ever. The earliest I've played is probably like 9 in the morning, but not 6. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that's it. 12 golden rules for life. If you found value in this episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment in the comment section down below. And I'll see you again in the next episode. Peace.